Have you ever wondered if there's a link between video games and depression? It's a topic that gets a lot of buzz and often a lot of judgment. We hear it all the time, right? Parents telling kids, get your head out of the clouds, worry about screen time. There's this common belief that maybe games are the source of problems like isolation or sadness. But what if I told you that's often looking at it backwards? What if for many people, intense gaming isn't the cause of their struggles but actually a symptom, a coping mechanism for something deeper, something related to what we all do sometimes, escaping reality? Stick with me for the next few minutes because we're going to unpack this. We'll explore why we feel the need to escape, what depression really feels like beyond just sadness, and how gaming fits into this picture, both the good and the bad. By the end, you'll have a much deeper understanding of this relationship and maybe even gain some insights into your own habits or those of people you care about. First, let's get one thing straight. Escaping reality isn't unique to gamers. We all do it. Life can be tough, stressful, sometimes painful. And as humans, we're incredibly resourceful when it comes to finding ways to not feel the tough stuff. The workaholic who spends endless hours at the office, that's often an escape from family life, from emotions they don't want to feel. The person constantly chasing the next purchase, the compulsive shopper, they get a brief high, but the underlying feeling returns. The sports fanatic living week to week for the game, the person pouring everything into their career, chasing wealth, thinking it'll bring happiness. Even seemingly good things like intense studying, relentless ambition, or constant travel can be ways to avoid confronting difficult emotions or a painful past. The motivation behind many of them is similar, facing our inner world, our past hurts, our present anxieties, our fears, even the big questions like mortality, feels too overwhelming. Video games, with their immersive worlds and constant engagement, are simply another powerful modern way we can choose to check out. A temporary suspension from reality is normal, even healthy. But when it becomes the default way of living, that's when we need to look closer. So, why do we feel this need to escape so strongly sometimes? Because of unprocessed emotions, especially negative ones, often stemming way back from childhood. If you think about it, I'm sure you'll remember a video game or a special activity that helped you through a tough time. Feel free to share it in the comments if something comes to mind. Our minds have this protective mechanism. When we are young and face experiences that are too painful, too overwhelming, we often unconsciously cancel them. We push them down, forget them to keep moving forward. As Freud noted, we remove these difficult memories. We have to in order to grow. But here's the catch. Locking away those emotions, those parts of ourselves, takes energy. It's like capping a well. You stop the flow. The more we suppress, the less emotional energy we have available. And since mind and body are connected, this lack of inner energy translates to physical fatigue, lack of motivation, and that feeling of being unable to do anything. Think of emotions as the fuel for our human machine. When we suppress too much, especially if our early life was particularly tough or we were very sensitive, the energy loss becomes significant. This brings us directly to depression, this state of depleted energy resulting from those suppressed, unresolved, often unconscious, painful experiences. It's not just mental, it affects us physically too. People experiencing depression often feel physically heavy, unable to muster the energy for simple tasks, walking or exertion. They feel atonic. Now, consider someone in this low energy state. The world outside the screen can feel overwhelming, demanding, maybe even threatening because it might trigger those buried feelings. Activities that require initiative, social interaction, or facing complex emotional landscapes can feel impossible. But a video game? It offers structure, clear goals, predictable rewards, and crucially, an escape from having to confront that inner depletion or the painful feelings causing it. Ever known someone, maybe even yourself, who just seems lazy? Doesn't want to clean their room, study, go out, do anything? Often, what looks like laziness is actually depression. The person isn't choosing inaction out of defiance. They literally may not have the emotional or physical fuel. In this context, the comparatively low-demand, high-stimulation environment of a game can feel like the only manageable place to be. Does this mean playing video games is always a sign of depression? Absolutely not. Games can be incredibly positive, fun, relaxing, social, mentally stimulating. Like reading a book or going on vacation, they can be a healthy way to unwind, a temporary suspension from stress. The difference lies in the pattern and the purpose. Are games adding to your life, providing joy and connection alongside other fulfilling activities? Or are they becoming the primary way you cope with negative feelings? Are they consistently used to avoid responsibilities, emotions, or facing the underlying reasons for your unhappiness? So often, when we see someone deeply lost in video games, the immediate reaction is judgment. They lack willpower. They're lazy. They're just weak. These aren't signs of weakness. They are often signals of unbearable inner pain. Trying to force someone to simply stop gaming without addressing the underlying depression is unlikely to work. Facing deeply suppressed pain takes immense courage, and not everyone feels capable of it, especially alone. Instead of judgment, we need understanding. We need to ask, what pain is this person trying so desperately to escape? True support comes from understanding, empathy, and encouraging pathways to healing, whether that's therapy, opening up to trusted friends, or family. But the promise is that by reconnecting with our feelings, even the painful ones, we regain that lost energy. We don't need the constant, intense stimulation of escape because we are no longer running from ourselves. We start to feel again, to truly live instead of just avoiding. So, let's bring it back. Video games and depression. The connection is often not one of simple cause and effect. Instead, excessive gaming can be one manifestation of a deeper human tendency, evading reality to avoid pain. This evasion is often fueled by depression, understood here as a profound lack of energy tied to suppressed emotions and past hurts. The game itself isn't necessarily the villain. It can become a refuge when the energy to face the real world, with all its complexities and potential triggers, feels utterly depleted. It's a symptom, a coping strategy, born out of a need to survive unbearable feelings or emptiness. Recognizing this doesn't excuse neglecting life, but it shifts the focus. Instead of blaming the screen, maybe we can start asking with more compassion, both for ourselves and others. What are we running from? What pain needs acknowledging? What steps, however small, can lead back to feeling, to reconnecting with our own energy, and finding joy not just in escape, but in reality itself? Thanks for being here. If you found it helpful, a quick like really helps the channel. And if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives. Think about it and share your thoughts in the comments. Be kind to yourselves. See you next time.